2 more minutes and then we'll start. I see some people still coming through. Welcome, everyone. More people are coming through so we can get started. Okay. Awesome. Glad you all are here. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Great. So welcome everyone to Discovery Lane Preschool's premier webinar, Distance Learning Tools to Support Early Childhood Learners During COVID-19. This is actually our first webinar, so we are quite excited about this new venture. We have people joining us from all over the United States, so this is really exciting. We're so honored to share with educators around the US resources and information that will support you as you continue to walk this uncharted territory. I know that it's probably a lot to unpack amid this pandemic, but you all are resilient, and I know you're doing the very best you can to support your families, and we honor you. So just a few housekeeping items. We are going to email the recording of today's webinar. We'll also provide you a certificate of attendance that will be emailed to you. You will also receive a collection of distant learning digital tools at the conclusion of the webinar. If you have any questions, you should see either at the top or the bottom of your screen an opportunity to type in your questions, and we have Ms. Bree and Ms. Alice who will be answering those questions throughout the webinar. And then if you need any technical support, please visit zoom.support.us. Awesome. So it's our hope during this webinar that you'll get greater insight to reinforce the importance of quality early childhood education. So hello everyone, my name is Shante Tamerat. I am the co-owner of Discovery Lane Preschool. I have been in education for 11 years. I started in education with a primary focus with children with autism and special education, and it's certainly an honor to be here today. Welcome everyone. Ms. Rhainie?
Hello everyone, I am Rhainie Frazier. I am the Assistant Director here at Discovery Lane Preschool. I'm fairly new to early childhood. However, I did 2 years as a behavioral therapist for children with autism. My journey here at Discovery Lane began as an assistant teacher with Miss Alice, and I quickly moved up to being a lead teacher, and now I'm the Assistant Director. I'm pleased to be with you all today.
Awesome. So here's today's agenda. If you could just take a moment and just look over it. So we're going to discuss a little bit of the background of Discovery Lane, which is the program in which we work and support. We're going to unpack, which is the heart of the webinar, apps and digital learning tools to use in your program. We are going to discuss about hosting a virtual trip and how to curate a virtual open house. And at the end of the webinar, we will dedicate time for some live Q&A. Again, just a reminder, you will receive a recording of this webinar. So don't feel that you have to write down every single note. You'll definitely get a recording of this webinar. So just a little bit about Discovery Lane. So as I said before, Discovery Lane is I co-own Discovery Lane. I co-own it with my mom, Miss Alice. And our reason for opening Discovery Lane, and we had this idea in 2014, is that we wanted to offer our community a progressive approach to early childhood. And so we were really responding to preschool to prison pipeline. We also know that there is an absence of quality early childhood programs in many marginalized communities. And so this was the idea, as I would say. We opened our doors to children and our kiddos in 2016. We serve children ages 2 to 5. And we are located in Charles County, which is in Southern Maryland. Yeah, and so our approach to learning is that we are a Reggio Emilia inspired preschool program. If anybody has any interest in that, I can certainly share that information. You can certainly send me an email. But what we do at our program is our approach to learning is a hands-on learning experience. We're looking more at the process rather than the productivity of our kiddos. We do a lot of collaboration with the community and our families. And so the 3 tenets of Reggio are: the child is seen as an apprentice, and the parent is very much a tenant, as well as the environment is the third teacher. And so that is our approach to learning that we've adopted here at our program. So at this time, I'm going to launch a poll so that we can see sort of how you're operating right now. So this poll will appear on your screen, and yeah, you'll have an opportunity to respond. So I'll do that right now. Okay. And so we want to know how what state you're currently operating your program. Are you doing distance learning only? Is it a combination of distance learning and serving children of essential personnel? I know here at Discovery Lane, we are doing that. Are you serving children of essential personnel only? Are you serving children of both non-essential and essential personnel? Are you temporarily closed and not offering distance learning? And then other. So I'll give everyone a few moments to answer this poll, and then I will share the results. Thank you all for answering. Give it about 30 more seconds. And you might have to read through these. Okay, awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and end the poll, and then I'm gonna share the results. So it looks like about 56% of our participants in this webinar are doing distance learning only. That makes sense why you may be joining us today. Second would be you're doing a combination of both. As I said, that's what we're doing here at Discovery Lane. And then you can see the rest, and it does seem like that some are closed right now. Okay. All right. And so distance learning provides an opportunity to stay connected with your families and the community. It also allows for flexibility, and we'll get into that more in the webinar about some of the platforms that we use that allow for our parents to sort of activate or get access to the materials when it's a convenient time for them. So the purpose of today's webinar is that we are going to discuss how distance learning maintains connections with families. As I stated earlier, we're going to explore digital tools and apps that educators can implement for distance learning. We're going to discuss how to curate a virtual field trip. That was quite exciting for our program. And then tips to host a virtual open house. All right, and so before let Ms. Rhainie take it over, I'm going to launch one more poll, and this poll is about your level of experience using technology to support distance learning. So I will launch this now. You can just take a moment and answer that poll. That will help us sort of, gauge our audience. Thank you. I see the results coming in. I'm going to give it just a few more minutes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and end the poll, and I'll share the results. Alrighty, so about 60% of our participants today are novice when it comes to implementing technology for distance learning. So that's okay. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna really support you here today. About 30% have intermediate, so sufficient experience, and it seems that we have some people that have advanced experience. So good, awesome. Oops, I apologize. I forgot to share these with you all. So I'll let you look at them. Okay. And now at this time, I will let Ms. Rain step in.
All right. Good afternoon again, everyone. Thank you, Ms. Shante, for allowing me to co-lead this wonderful webinar with you today. I'm very excited to speak with you all today about the various tools we use here at Discovery Lane to organize, interact, and to provide digital supports for our distance learners here. As you look at the logos on this slide, you may see that some of these look a little bit familiar and some may look very foreign to you. So through this presentation, we'll go through how here at Discovery Lane we utilize these, as well as how you can implement them if they make sense for your program. So the first platform we're going to go into is Google Drive. Google Drive is a free online file storage system accessible through a Gmail account or Google account. And a lot of us already have Google accounts, Gmails, so this would be accessible for, I'm sure, many of you. During our initial venture into distance learning, we utilized this platform, one, because it was completely free, which was ultimately a plus. And it just allowed us to create materials such as lesson plans, share pre-recorded videos or also links to videos, slideshows we may have created, and just various content to our families through email and links. Another great thing about this platform is that if you're sharing multiple layers of content, you can organize them into folders. That way your families aren't getting bombarded with tons of files in one email. They can just look through one singular folder. The usage of this platform kind of segued us into what we pretty much utilize now, which is G Suite. So looking at this slide, this may also look, you might see a couple of tools and things that you are very familiar with that are available under a Google account. However, G Suite is business and education centered, and it gives you access to distance learning tools that we use here that we'll discuss later on in, we'll discuss later on in our presentation. In order to employ a G Suite and the tools associated with it, you will need to subscribe to one of the 3 subscription levels. They are basic, business, and enterprise. Those range about from $6 to $25 per month per user. We do understand that a lot of you all, as well as ourselves, we're looking for as many free or nominal cost programs to use to provide our families with such effective distance learning. So our next platform that we're going to get to is available under G Suite, which is Google Classroom. Here at Discovery Lane, we absolutely love, love using Google Classroom. It has truly afforded us the opportunity to share information with our families and connect with them and interact in such a central location. Educators are able to create lessons and post them, share links to videos, and post comments on any lesson submissions. So let's go further into exploring Google Classroom. So as you can see here, as when you create a Google Classroom, you are, as an educator, this will be your view. You are able to create separate classrooms for any sections that you have inside of your program. Here at Discovery Lane, we have 4 different classes, as you can see listed here, which are Generoso, Grande, Medio, and Piccolo. So to further explore what is possible and great about Google Classroom, let's step into Medio. All right, so as you click into a class, you will see that the first page is a stream. So your stream is basically a feed of any notifications that you send out to your parents, any announcements that you want them to view, and they're all viewable to you and your families. Also, a wonderful thing about this stream is that any announcements and notifications that you post on your stream will go directly to the email. Now, we're going to talk about classwork. And this is where I turn it over to Ms. Shante. You're still on mute, Ms. Shante.
Sorry about that. That's the beauty of virtual, right? It brings those levels of joys and excitement. Alrighty, so if you look at the top here of the screen, there's the classwork tab, and the classwork tab allows you to delineate and detail information about the lesson. You can organize your lessons by content area. So we have art, fine and gross motor, literacy, math, science, and sensory. And you can essentially detail these, label the content areas that best fit your program. I should probably add too, this is what the Google Classroom will look like from your lens, not necessarily your family's, because you're in the back end, as we say in tech, of Google Classroom. So let's go here. Let's open up one of our lessons. So we did this really great lesson that the teacher posted around ICE investigation. And you can see here that 4 students turned it in, 5 were assigned, and we'll talk more about that a little bit. But here is the details of the lesson. You can get as detailed as you want. You can organize it how you feel necessary. You can also add links. Again, I'll show you that. So if you click here at View Assignment, we'll be able to see how the submission works of the lesson. So parents are able to upload videos and images. Sometimes they write us notes when they're in their uploads. So this is one of our kiddos. She's exploring the ICE investigation here. And then we'll just watch a little bit of her video.
Amber, for your ice experiment, you got to see what's going to melt. So we have salt, pepper, and sugar. So let's start with the pepper. Did the pepper melt?
No.
Okay, next is the salt. Did the salt melt?
Yes.
And the last one, did the sugar melt the ice?
Yes.
So why do you think that the salt and the sugar melted the ice?
Because it's had a lot of sugar in it. I tasted it on my body because it's not no sugar. And that one had no sugar because anything happened in that one.
All right, awesome. So that was one of our kiddos. She was discussing with her mom her lesson, and her mom posted that. And like I said, you can also do images. Here you'll see that her mother wrote a note, and then the teacher in the classroom is able to respond. This is all private. Only this family can see the back and forth exchanges. So when a lesson is uploaded, that is masked from all other kiddos or other children in your program. Okay, so I'll close out of that. And like I said here, you can see who attached their lessons. I'm also going to go ahead and just unpack a little bit about how you sort of create a lesson. We have tutorials on the toolkit, so you'll be able to review the tutorials and how to set this up. And so don't feel that like you have to, oh my goodness, I have to get all this written down. Again, we're gonna take it slow. So if you go to create, you'll see a tab open up, and it'll menu box will drop down, and it labels here assignment, quiz assignment, question, material, and reuse post. We typically use assignment when we're posting these activities. So if you click assignment, this is where you would write out what I showed before about the lesson. So the title of the lesson, the structure, instructions. You can add a Google Drive, you can add a link, a file, or a YouTube link. Over here is where you would put which classroom it's for, the lesson, your student. So you can actually uncheck students. So some of our kiddos come part-time, and so they get access to lessons on specific days. And so yeah, we do offer part-time for our distance learning as well. And then this would be where you would do the due date. So when is the lesson due? Because we're serving early childhood learners and we want to offer flexibility, we don't assign due dates for our activities. And then the last part is to be where the topic would fall under. So if it falls under art or fine motor or literacy or math, and then you would just place the assignment there. Again, we're going to do tutorials, so I highly, encourage you to really take your time with this. This took us about a week to develop, just for each classroom. So really take your time developing this. One last thing is that you can see here that some of the activities are in bold and some aren't. You can actually schedule when you want the lessons to appear to the families. So one thing about me being in education for quite some time, I have a pulse on some of the public schools and what they do. And I know some parents were expressing, some of my colleagues who are educators and parents were expressing how overwhelming it could be to see all of these lessons in 1 week. And so we only show 2 lessons a day for our kiddos. The rest, they come out each day. And so that also allows for you to get all the lessons in, and then again, just detail out when you want them to appear to your families. All right, Ms. Rhainie, I'll let you go ahead.
All right, the next tab on Google Classroom is the People tab. The People tab just details the teachers that are assigned to your class, as well as the students that are enrolled. As you can see, you can assign multiple teachers to one classroom, as well as your students. Please note that in order for your students to enroll and have access to any material and content that you post in your class, you will have to create an email for them that has the same domain as your organization. For example, here at Discovery Lane, our domain is at thediscoverylane.com. So we created emails that have our first and last name at the Discovery Lane. And you can do this by going into your G Suite administrator settings.
Perfect. And I'll just show here, you can see here, if you click on the kiddo's name, sometimes it's hard when you look at all those lessons to know what are current and what are from weeks ago. And so you can see here, if you click into the child, what work they submitted. So that's a really nice feature. And as I said, we're learning this process too. As we were developing this webinar, we sort of came upon that. We're like, oh, wow, we didn't even know that was possible. So we're learning tools as we go as well. And the last tool is the grade tool. We don't use this at all except to show that a child submitted something, but we just wanted to just let you know that that is there for you all. All righty, so I will go back.
Okay, so the next platform we're going to get into is Google Meet. Google Meet is a video conferencing system that we use to conduct our morning meeting or circle time, as many of you may call it, and also engage in video conferencing office hours with our parents. We chose Google Meet because it was free under our G Suite account, which is, again, always a plus to have a free platform to use. It's very, 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 very user-friendly. It also allows us to screen share during circle time, or if we do a read aloud, so that our kiddos can view the different content that we may be using, whether it be a video clip on YouTube or a slideshow. And also, a lot of times during morning meeting, we love to combine our kiddos that are here that are kiddos of essential personnel, as well as our distance learners, so that our kids can really still interact with their friends, because a lot of them miss being with their buddies all day, every day. So we want them to be able, our screen sharing allows for them to see the things that our kiddos here at the actual school are viewing. Another great thing is that Google Meet does not require any additional system downloading, unlike Zoom. So you're able to use it from your desktop completely just by clicking on the tool. Though you will need a G Suite account to start a meeting, you are able to invite others from other domains. So if anyone has maybe a Yahoo account, a regular Gmail account, or Hotmail, they are able to be invited and join any Google Meet meetings that you set up. So the next one we're going to talk about is Flipgrid. Now this is pretty fun to use that I found out. It's essentially a interactive video discussion board. So and it's free for our educators as well as our families, which is a major plus. So let's explore a little bit about Flipgrid. So Flipgrid allows educators to pre-record and post videos. Maybe it'd be something as far as expansion questions for a lesson topic you may be discussing with your distance learners, as well as doing lesson demonstrations or even a read aloud. Students are able to record and post response videos that are shared with not only the teacher, but their classmates that have access to your Flipgrid. So we're going to take a look at one of our Flipgrids here for the Medio class. Okay, this is the Medio Distance Learning Flipgrid. As I mentioned, students are able to pre-record videos to share with their classmates and their teachers, and other kiddos can respond to videos that they see from their friends. So have that back and forth exchange, creating that engagement is really important to focus on when picking platforms to use for your distance learning. Another great thing about this platform is that unlike Google Meet, which requires real-time interaction, this allows for flexibility with our parents' schedules. So many parents may be home during this time. However, a lot of them telework, or some of them are of essential personnel and have to go into work, and they're not able to be as responsive to distance learning content that is put out in real time. So this allows for them to reference content and be able to respond when they have time or when they're able to sit and view with their kids. So the last.
You want to look at one of the videos, Miss Rain?
Oh yeah, sure.
Okay.
Let's take a look at one of those videos.
You're not going to do that.
One more time. Oh, what letter? Okay, stop. Name the letters you knocked down. What letter is that? Show it to the camera. What letter is that? Very good.
Okay. Before we move on, I would like to mention that when you create your Flipgrid account, it will generate something called a flip code that can be shared with your parents, and that is how they'll have access to any content that you post on your Flipgrid. All right, so the last platform that I'll be discussing about is Brightwheel. So Brightwheel is a child care management system that we use here daily at Discovery Lane. Brightwheel has been very responsive in providing solutions and resources to help support educators and families during this time of distance learning. Let's explore a little bit about Brightwheel and the tools that they have integrated for distance learning. Alrighty, so under the Learning tab is where you'll find the distance learning tool that I was speaking of. So here you're able to create and post lesson plans. This is able to be shared with not only your fellow educators, but also the families that you serve. Brightwheel has also a lessons tab where they have created created lessons that you are able to share or utilize in your own distance learning classrooms. So I thought that was pretty fun. A lot of them are very interactive and like motor related. So during our kids being at home, I'm pretty sure they're running around wild, and our parents really want them to continue to be active. So these lessons probably would be great for you to peruse through and maybe think about adopting in your lessons. I also wanted to mention that Brightwheel does have a fee for its service. However, the pricing is customizable to your program. So in order to receive the quote for how much it would be for you to utilize Brightwheel, you will have to contact them directly. All right, at this time, I'll turn the rest over to Ms. Shante, who will be discussing about our creative media that we use during distance learning, as well as other solutions that we have implemented into our practice. You're still muted, Ms. Shante.
Keep doing that, family. All right. And I was quite confident in that transition there. All right, awesome, guys. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the graphic support that one of the graphic platforms that we use to make literature, our slideshow that you see here, things that we post on Instagram. And so I'm going to show you a tool that I find to be very user-friendly. And with the free version, you can do quite a bit. All right, so we'll go ahead and look at Canva just a little bit. So this is Canva. And again, we're going to provide some, sorry, it's not escaping. Let me see something. Okay, there we go. All righty, so when you look at the Canva, this is the Canva platform. You can create an account, and like I said, you could do quite a bit with the free version. So I have here that a little image that I created. And so this is a picture of a dog, and you can move images around. You can also write text. Great thing about Canva too is that they already have some templates made if you're not that savvy with creating something from a blank slate. And so there are some pre-made templates here, and I believe if actually write an education you might be able to yeah, so here's a template that I could just show you really quickly. So if you click here, this is a template that's already ready-made, and you can change the information to fit your program. So this is a great tool to have. Also, the great thing about Canva is that they already pre-configure a lot of their templates. So if I type in Instagram, they already have a pre-configured template that already has the correct measurement. So when you post it, you don't have to do any cropping of your video. So if I hit Instagram post, again, there are those templates. This is one I really like. Here, you can obviously edit the information as needed, or you could work from a blank slate. They also have Instagram Story, which I used a few times, and already you see here the measurements. It's just ready to go and post. You can start from a blank page, or you can have some ready-made templates. So there is the pro version of Instagram, and I know sometimes when we download apps and platforms, we always are kind of like forced to upgrade because like the free version doesn't really give you a whole lot. But I can actually say that I got by quite a while, I would say maybe 2 years, without having to upgrade to the pro. I think some of the major differences with the pro is that Instagram implemented animations, and so they give you access to that. And sometimes if you don't have the pro, you do have to pay for some of the images. They're about 99 cents for like a one-time use. But if you do the pro, I believe it's like $14.99 a month, and you pretty much have unlimited access to those features. I think it's definitely a great investment. I'm just going to close some of these boxes out here. Okay, and we'll go back to the slide here. So like I said, we actually created, we use the Canva platform to create this slideshow. So I'm just going down. All right, so another app that we are learning platform that we discovered was Book Creator. This has actually been around for some years. I had never heard of Book Creator prior to doing distance learning with our team of teachers. And so this platform is great because it allows you to develop and curate books digitally. And the cost is very nominal. It's $60 a year, and you can create up to 180 books with 3 libraries. So this is great for kiddos to give them exposure to literacy, as well as to collaborate on a book together and really make the child's voice heard in the classroom. What fun, how fun to create your own book. You can also create comics and yeah, it's great. We love it. So I'm going to go into one of the books that's on the website here, and you can just see how a kiddo created his own book. And another feature is that you can actually pre-record your voice, and your voice can be included in the book. So
I want to go fishing.
So that's a really, really great feature. You can also upload your own images, and they have like a doodle option where kiddos can actually doodle right on the page. So this could be something that you could even share with the parents as an activity while they're home. If this is something they're able to access. This is another book.
My pet monster's name is Spot. My pet monster is green. My pet monster likes playing hockey. His antennas are straight. My pet monster is a boy. My pet monster likes being with me.
Yeah. So like I said, we really love this feature. It's imperative that children have their voice heard in the classroom, and some kiddos are able to read, and so this provides an opportunity for them to start decoding and learning parts of a story, and so that's definitely a great learning tool to have. It's interactive. I love a lot of dynamic approaches to learning. I know obviously there's nothing like a traditional static book, but we certainly want to embrace technology in that regard. So the very last platform we're going to talk about is YouTube. And I'm quite sure that many of you are familiar with YouTube, especially given this virus, given this pandemic. I'm sure many of us are visiting YouTube quite a bit for some how-tos, how to cook, how to, do our nails, how to fix our hair, how to, do a haircut. My poor husband. So I know that, again, you're all very probably familiar with YouTube. There are some special features for YouTube that are great for educators. And so one feature is that you can make your YouTube page private and password protected. So if you wanted to upload lessons, but you only wanted your families to see it, you could make it password protected. YouTube was great when we first started our distance learning. We started the 3rd week of March. So we've been doing this for quite a while. We developed a contingency plan the 2nd week of March, not anticipation, but in preparation for what could possibly be coming down the pipeline. And so it's a great opportunity also to we posted some lessons that the parents could then revisit. Like we said, similar to Flipgrid, is that it's not in real time. And so sometimes Google Meets and Zoom meetings can be really hard for families because they're at a designated time, and you have to be ready and prepared at that time. These allow for lessons to be shared, and they can revisit them at any given moment, any given time. So definitely presents that level of flexibility. So during that week, like I stated, I put some videos up. This is actually our YouTube page. So I would encourage, I know I have a lot of administrators and a few preschool owners in this webinar, and a lot of preschool teachers too. But I would definitely encourage you all to create a YouTube page for your school program. Yep, so this is one we were doing. I was doing a lesson demonstration on making nature Play-Doh, nature impressions with Play-Doh. So this was really fun. Alrighty, so we did a virtual trip, and wow, this was really, really, really fun. So we took a trip to the San Diego Zoo. The San Diego Zoo has graciously set up webcams in their habitats so that you can actually see the animals alive. So this gave a real authentic real-world experience for our families, and it was really, really fun. Other organizations that have set this up is the planetarium as well as the aquarium. So not sure if you're aware of that, but that it's definitely out there, and opportunities for you to give your kiddos exposure to ventures that they aren't able to have at this time. And so the information was organized and delivered. The content was used, making a slideshow. And I'm going to show a video after this clip that's going to sort of break up and give a synthesized discussion around, or something, synthesized visual of what we did for our families. And the slideshow we created using Canva. Again, we love that platform. The benefits of a virtual field trip is that you have continued engagement with your students at home, you're expanding their knowledge, and it's an opportunity for children to interact with their friends. One thing we didn't really touch on in today's webinar, but I'm sure you've been hearing in other webinars you may have participated in, or just being experts in your content and experts in your industry, is that our kiddos really miss their friends. They miss you all too, quite a great deal. And it's something you can continue when the kiddos, when they come back. Like we don't live in San Diego. Like I said, we live in Maryland. And so what an experience to take the children somewhere that they can't immediately go visit. So we're gonna go ahead and watch this video that, like I said, it synthesizes how we conducted our virtual field trip. Turn it up. Hello, everyone. We want to thank our amazing kiddos and families of Discovery Lane. Thank you for joining us on our virtual field trip to the San Diego Zoo. To start our virtual field trip to the San Diego Zoo, we asked our kiddos, what do you think you'll see at the zoo? Then we transitioned to reading the book, Dear Zoo. Wheels up, it's time to fly to San Diego, California. Oh, we're in the sky.
Get ready for a fun-filled adventure at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. Located 35 miles north of downtown San Diego. For over 40 years, this 1,800-acre sanctuary has been home to...
The kiddos had a good time looking on the map to see which animals we might see on our zoo adventure. Notice on the map how there are circles around specific areas. Now we're ready to see the animals. San Diego Zoo graciously set up webcams so that you can actually see the animals in real time in the zoo habitats. The San Diego Zoo has information about the animals, and so as we visited each exhibit, I shared these facts with the kiddos. To preserve, meaning keep, so that they have a home to live. And so baby orangutans, they spend 6 to 8 months clinging to their mom. So holding on to their mom for 6 to 8 months. That's a very dedicated mother to have a baby on her, holding her for 6 to 8 months. And condor, very good, Caleb, awesome. When you're exploring the animals at the San Diego Zoo via the webcam, there is no sound. And so I did look up some nature sounds on YouTube to really give our kiddos that auditory experience they would have if they were physically visiting the zoo. What is that? What is that waddling across the screen? Penguins. Oh. At the zoo. Oh, there's a baby. Thank you, Jason. You guys see the baby? Very nice. At the conclusion of our virtual field trip, we did a scavenger hunt to identify which animals we saw. The condor. There you go. Thank you, Amber. Very nice. And so while we continue to practice being physically distant, let's remember that we can still connect. Thank you again to our parents, the San Diego Zoo, and our kiddos for this amazing experience. Bye.
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 Goodbye.
Bye.
Go ahead.
Bye, friends.
Bye.
All right. So again, if you have any questions about how we supported that virtual experience for our children, remember to ask your questions at the bottom, pointing like this at the bottom or at the top of your screen. There's a Q&A tab. I know some people have been asking questions throughout the webinar, so thank you. And I am going to answer a few live. You can also touch base with us after, because I'm pretty sure you may have questions about how we presented that. But that was our virtual field trip, and it was really, really fun for our children and our families. And it allowed for us to give them an experience they otherwise wouldn't have had. And so I know that during this time, many of us are really we're struggling maybe internally, or I know that a lot of small businesses are having a great impact, are taking a loss, right, financial loss right now. And so we recognize that. And we want to continue to offer this space for you all to express those concerns. And like I said, we hope that this webinar gave some remedy to that. One response to that could be hosting a virtual open house. So thanks to one of our parents that made this suggestion. It was quite a humbling experience because I was a bit reluctant. I didn't know how this could be developed. I also didn't know the responsiveness, but she was quite encouraging. And so we moved forward with it, and I'll explain how we did the process and then what our outcome was at the conclusion of it. And so a virtual open house allows for you to continue to have engagement with the community. We organize, of course you can do how you feel, but we organize our virtual open house by having the parents RSVP. So we knew who was coming in. We didn't make this like a live, anyone could just come. We wanted to really emphasize that you had to RSVP to attend, and we did that. We allow parents RSVP using a link on our website. You can also use what is it called? Eventbrite. Sorry, Eventbrite is another one that you can use if you wanted parents to, as a third party, if you wanted parents to RSVP for the open house. We created a slideshow. Again, I have on the toolkit that will offer the link that we'll share with you all at the conclusion of the webinar. You'll be able to look at some of those links and things that we shared with families during the virtual open house. We conducted our virtual open house on Zoom. You could use Zoom or Google Meet. We did it on Zoom because Zoom has a waiting room option if you have a meeting. It's just a little bit more seamless for that particular engagement. We created flyers to get the information out and get the buzz going, and we use Canva doing that. You'll also see here on the screen, there is this pamphlet. This was the literature that would have been distributed out if parents were physically present at our school, and I just digitized it and put it in I made an online pamphlet. So this is the literature that we created at our program. And again, I can explain how we sort of did that. And that was a link that was shared with families. So we really wanted to try to make it as authentic as possible. And then because our parents, they were actually doing live Q&A, so they were talking to us directly, asking questions. And so we created an opportunity for just a few families at a time. So our open house was from 11 to 12:30, and we had 2 time slots, one at 11 and one at 11:45. And one great thing about about our virtual open house was that we had parents that are currently enrolled in our program participate, and they were quite gracious in their testimonials about our program. And it really truly moved us to tears, honestly, about the things that they said. And I definitely think that had a huge impact on the families in wanting to make an investment in the right now unforeseeable future. And so that leads into what was the success of the virtual open house. And no one physically came to our school, and we had the open house on Saturday, and we actually enrolled 5 students that Monday. So at the conclusion of our open house, we send out a interest form, and then parents fill that out if they want to move forward with making an investment. And so their investment is at our program is 1 week's tuition and the enrollment fee. And so these kiddos won't be starting our program until September, many of them, because that's when we'll have a vacancy, and the parents made the investment. So again, don't be discouraged, don't be dismayed. This was great success for our program. All right, so this is the toolkit that we're going to provide you all. There's going to be a link I'm going to share, and you'll be able to get access to some video tutorials, and I put links of all the different apps that we've talked about. So you can click on the links or the names of the apps. It'll direct you to how you can subscribe or visit those websites directly. So you'll receive this. And then just to close out, we want to encourage you all to take your time. Don't overwhelm yourself. We we are experiencing a true life traumatic change. Don't think that we did all these tools in 1 month. These we've experienced, we've had exposure and taught ourselves about these lessons over some months and years. So this wasn't something that we got in like that. So definitely take your time. Use the tools that make sense for your program and families. I cannot stress this enough. There are some tools and programs that are not going to fit your program. Don't feel you have to use all of the programs. We're not in the spirit of competitiveness. Just use what you can. Know your limitations, and I would also encourage you to really push yourself. Technology is not easy. I create a lot of our web pages, and I created that toolkit. And every time I come to something I've maybe done a gazillion times, I have hiccups and challenges, and as many people who use tech. And so, use what makes sense for your families and what you're able to maintain and keep up with. And stay open-minded and explore the possibilities. We did not create an exhaustive list of every single program you can use today. There are a litany of distance learning tools and apps that you can use. And some of you may already be using them. So don't think that we've created this list and this is all you have to use. Be open-minded to some others that are out there. And collaborate with colleagues and families. They're your allies. They want to see you exist when this is all over. And when this is all over, you will exist, so just keep pushing, keep persevering, keep being positive. That was a great alliteration there. Keep being positive and, just stay the course. So here's our contact information. So again, my name is Shante, and you can contact me there. And this is Ms. Raine's contact information. I will leave this slide just for a moment so that you're able to jot that down. So I'll go back. I'll let the students see how many those slides there were. So yeah, I will leave that up there. And I am going to, at this time, and Ms. Raine and I both are going to answer some questions live. All righty. So someone asked, and I know it was answered by Ms. Bree and Ms. Alice, but I'll just go ahead and say it for the webinar. Someone said, do our parents pay for distance learning? And the answer to that is yes, they do pay for distance learning, and it's actually helped to sustain our business quite a bit. So because we are an essential site, we are receiving state funding, and anyone who's out there knows that that can be a little delayed. And so we are experiencing that delay. And so the distance learning has really helped to provide a financial buffer until the state funds are given to us. Some of the delay is there's just an overwhelming amount of traffic, and it's a new program. And so our distance learning program is our weekly tuition rate, and we've given our families an additional 25% off. And we have, I want to say we have about 25 or to 30 kiddos in distance learning, and we have about 15 kiddos that we serve that are children of essential personnel that actually come to our program. So we did lose a few of our kiddos due to financial hardships, understandably. And yeah, I'm trying to think what else, but yeah. And so, but we're very grateful and gracious. This distance learning has something that is definitely something you're going to want to look into if you're not already offering it to really help sustain your business. And the parents really enjoy it. They're very interactive, and we have quite a few participants during our Google Meets. And I think it's because of the way we've organized it and the user-friendly platforms that we used for our family. So we did make that investment. Yeah. And one thing I forgot to mention too was for the Google Classroom, when you're creating the domain names, there is a fee associated with that for each email that you create. So for each for, like we stated before, in order to access Google Classroom for our kiddos, they do have to have their own email. It is, I think, about maybe $6 to $12 for the kiddo to have an email a month. So we're probably spending about maybe $170 a month for $180 about to have the kiddos to have those emails. But once the program is absolved, or we're actually not going to absolve distance learning, but once those kiddos transition to being in the classroom, then we will deactivate their email, so we won't have to pay that fee anymore. And I think that was a question someone asked too, was if a child isn't in distant learning anymore, do you still have access to the classroom? No. If a child is not doing distance learning, or if they're not a child of essential personnel, then they have essentially disenrolled from our program, and they no longer have access to Google Classroom. We took that stance, and it's a decision that families have to make. And like I said, given the circumstances, we're obviously very understanding to that. Okay, I see quite a few coming through. I'm going to continue answering them. You're welcome to stick around. Okay, so that was answered. Let's see. So someone said, is the virtual open house for incoming parents for when COVID ends, or just another way to invite parents without being actually there? I think someone said I answered it. Yeah, so we are doing the virtual, I think I'm understanding this correctly. We are doing the virtual open house for a way because we want to limit the foot traffic that we have in our program. And so that was our reason for doing that. And distance learning is something that we will actually keep at our program. So we've actually had parents that want to participate in distance learning that live in other states. So we have 3 children that are in our program that will never be able to attend Discovery Lane because they live quite a distance. One child lives in Delaware, and 2 are sisters. They live in Florida. So with just us sort of expressing it on our social media platforms and showcasing it, I should say, it's really sparked the interest of other families. I think, it's sometimes, and I'm being very honest about our profession, sometimes people can see us as just caretakers or an extension of a babysitter, but I think parents are like, oh my goodness, like this requires some work. And so even though parents are doing quite a bit of the work by implementing the lessons and carrying the lessons out with the children, it's a nice resource that they don't have to do a lot of that heavy thinking about what is my child going to do day to day. And it also gives them access to you as an expert in this field to provide opportunities for them to build upon skills that children are working on. We want to encourage our families that our children should still be working on those skills. Okay, I have another question. So someone said, do you have any resources or ideas for babies that are 1 year old for using distance learning? So I probably would think that maybe you could use the Google Classroom and provide some activities for families that are geared towards that specific age group. That's a really good thing to do. They may not be able to do virtual videos, but I would still see how they can do it. Maybe the virtual videos are not necessarily classroom based for those children, but individually. And so you're talking to the children one-on-one rather than a group session where it can be overstimulating with other kiddos being in one session with them. And then someone said, are we able to do hands-on training at a later date? Sure. Yeah, we could certainly do that. I'm not sure when that will happen, but we're glad that you seems like this training and you would like to do hands-on. One thing I can consider doing is if I get a certain interest in a specific platform, I don't mind sort of discussing, maybe doing some one-on-ones or walking you through how to set up your Google Classrooms or do some tutorials. Remember though, in the toolkit, there are some tutorials to look at. And again, even with the toolkit, we didn't exhaust all of the YouTube tutorials out there. There are a lot of tutorials on Google Classroom. We just picked one that we thought would be really good for beginners. But a lot of times with technology, you really have to sort of get that hands-on experience. And play around with the tools. I think I got them all for now. But again, if anyone has any questions, you can email us. And now, like I said, I have information here, and I'm going to share this webinar with you all. And be encouraged to follow us. So these are all of our social media handles, our social media platforms that we use. Excuse me, and our handle is Discovery Lane. I think I see another question coming through. So we use Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And our handle is Discovery Lane. So definitely follow us so that you can stay up to date with any future webinars that we do and sort of how we organize those platforms to communicate with our families. And we just went through the Q&A. The reason why I left the other slide was that you were able to get our information. So I think we're excellent on time. And so I think at this point, we'll go ahead and end the webinar. We want to thank you all for coming today, or being present today, I should say, in today's webinar. And I will go ahead and end the webinar now. But again, you're going to receive an email, follow-up email with information about an attendance document, an attendance certificate, the toolkit that I showed you all, and then you do have access to engaging with us.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for joining us. We were very honored to have you all with us today.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm reading the comments that you all are writing, very informative, and great, awesome. Oh, and a free webinar. Yeah, of course. Yeah, certainly we want to make sure that we're not being too financially challenging on anyone right now. And so, yeah. Have a wonderful and blessed day, everyone. Thank you so much.
See you later.